The reconnaissance shuttle hadn't even finished burning through atmosphere before Alara knew something was catastrophically wrong. The hull shrieked, metal groaning under forces it was never designed to withstand. Her fingers flew across the dying console, but the navigation system had already flatlined. Through the viewport, the alien world rushed up to meet her, a sprawling wilderness of crimson forests and obsidian mountains beneath two pale suns. The crash turned the world into a violent blur of sound and sensation. When silence finally came, it brought with it the sharp copper taste of blood and the acrid smell of burning circuitry. Alara dragged herself from the wreckage on trembling limbs, her survival training kicking in through the fog of shock. The shuttle was a total loss, its distress beacon crushed beyond repair. She was alone on an uncharted world, light years from the nearest human colony. The realization should have paralyzed her, but humanity had survived worse odds. They always did. She salvaged what she could: a medkit, emergency rations, a plasma cutter, and her personal tablet. The forest loomed around her, alien and watchful. Strange calls echoed through the canopy, sounds that belonged to no Earth creature. Alara set off, moving away from the crash site. Scavengers would come. They always did. 3 days of cautious travel brought her to a cave system nestled in the volcanic rock. It was there, in the shadowed depths, that she heard it, a sound that transcended species and star systems. The desperate, hungry cry of an infant that Alara's breath caught. She activated the plasma cutter, approaching with the weapon raised and her heart hammering. The cave opened into a larger chamber, and there, huddled against the far wall, were two small forms. They were unlike anything in human xenobiology databases. Quadrupedal, covered in downy fur that shimmered between silver and midnight blue, with oversized eyes that gleamed with bioluminescent tears. Cubs. Alien, yes, but unmistakably infants. And they were starving. The larger one, she would later come to call him Kiri, crawled toward her on unsteady legs, mewling pitifully. His sibling, weaker still, barely lifted its head. Alara's mind raced through protocols, through warnings about contamination and unknown biology. But when Kiri pressed his small body against her leg, looking up with those luminous eyes, protocol died in her throat. "Okay," she whispered, holstering the plasma cutter. "Okay, little ones." The emergency rations weren't suitable for them. She could tell by how they rejected the synthetic paste. But the medkit contained nutrient solutions, designed for versatility. She mixed a formula, testing it first on her own skin for adverse reactions, then offered it to Kiri in her cup palm. The cub lapped it desperately, and soon his sibling joined them. Over the following days, Alara became their world. She fashioned a sling from her flight suit to carry them, keeping them warm against her chest where they could hear the steady rhythm of her heartbeat. Kiri grew stronger, his bioluminescence brightening, while his siblings slowly regained vitality. She named the smaller one Nova, for the star-like glow that pulsed beneath its skin. She should have been searching for rescue, for a way off this world. Instead, she found herself building a shelter, extending the cave with the plasma cutter, creating a safe haven for three beings that biology said should never have met. The pack found her on the 14th day. Alara was gathering water from a nearby stream when the forest went silent, that predator silence that transcends worlds. She grabbed Kiri and Nova, holding them close as she ran for the cave. But she wasn't fast enough. They emerged from the crimson foliage like vengeful spirits. 7 of them, each massive, easily 3 meters at the shoulder, their adult forms magnificent and terrifying. Their fur rippled with aggressive patterns, bioluminescence pulsing red like warning beacons. These were Kiri's people, and they had come for blood. The largest led the pack, its eyes fixed on Alara with predatory intensity. An alpha, she realized, every instinct screaming at her to run, even as logic told her she'd never make it. The pack fanned out, cutting off escape routes, their growls vibrating through her bones. Alara did the only thing she could. She stood her ground, pressing Kiri and Nova against her chest, one arm wrapped protectively around each cub. "Stay back," she said, her voice steady despite the terror flooding her system. The plasma cutter was at her hip, but what good was one weapon against 7 apex predators? The alpha advanced, and Alara braced for the end. Humanity's stubbornness, she thought grimly, would die with her here. Then Kiri chirped. It was a small sound, happy and content against Alara's heartbeat. Nova echoed it, nuzzling into the human's warmth. The Alpha froze mid-stride. Its luminescence flickered from aggressive red to confused amber. The pack closed in, but their approach had changed. They circled cautiously, sniffing the air, their eyes fixed not on Alara's throat but on the cubs cradled against her chest. One by one, they began to lower themselves, their aggressive postures melting into something else entirely. Confusion, then wonder, then unmistakable relief. The Alpha came forward slowly. Alara forced herself not to flinch as the massive creature's head drew level with her own. Its breath washed over her face, carrying scents of the alien forest. Then, impossibly gently, it pressed its muzzle against Kiri, then Nova, breathing in their scent. The cubs responded with delighted chirps, reaching for their Alpha with tiny paws. The change in the Alpha was instantaneous. Its eyes, multifaceted and deep as starlight, fixed on Alara with new intensity. Not predator to prey, something else entirely. Its luminescence shifted through the spectrum, settling on a deep, protective gold. The Alpha moved around Alara, its massive body encircling her and the cubs. The pack formed a defensive perimeter, their earlier aggression transformed into vigilant protection. And Alara understood, even without shared language, that something fundamental had shifted. She had saved their young. In a universe of violence and survival, she had chosen compassion. That single act had bridged the impossible gulf between species. The Alpha's rumbling vocalization resonated through Alara's chest. It wasn't threatening. It was a question, an offer. When it lowered itself beside her, the meaning became clear. The pack wasn't taking the cubs back. They were taking her. Alara looked down at Kiri and Nova, then at the massive alien beings surrounding her. She thought of her crashed shuttle, of the cold void between stars, of humanity's endless wandering through the cosmos. Always alone, always the outsider, until now. All right, she whispered, settling against the Alpha's warm bulk, the cubs content between them. All right. The pack moved as one, carrying their human Omega into the forest depths. Behind them, the crashed shuttle grew cold and silent. Ahead, under twin suns and unfamiliar stars, a new pack ran together. 7 aliens, 2 cubs, and 1 human who had learned what every species eventually discovered: that the strongest bonds are forged not in similarity, but in the choice to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Humanity had always been good at that. It was, perhaps, their most alien trait of all.